Hello, everyone. Hope you're having a good evening. No, I don't see anybody there. If there's anybody there, you can put a comment. Good evening, good evening. Let me know if you're there. All right. Just gonna check in my other device, see if this is live and if it sounds any good. Oh, I got the YouTube notification on my own video. So looks like we're rolling. Sorry about the bumpy road. Story of our lives. All right. Let's see how it looks. Ah, hello. Good evening. Good evening. Yep. As you can see, the subject is left or right. Izquierda o derecha. El que quiera entrar a hablar en español, you want to come in, talk. It's gonna be bilingual. So let's talk left or right. Which is better? Which is worse? Let's have a discussion. In the meantime, I guess I'll put my 2 cents in. So left or right? I mean, it's pretty self-evident. I'm sorry. I mean, well, it depends. It actually depends. Give me a second. Let me see how things are looking. One second. Anybody want to say hello? Throw it down in the comments. If not, in the description, whether you're on Facebook or on YouTube, there's a link where you can come in and we can have a discussion, we can have a debate, we can have a conversation, wherever you want. Where your teacher is. Okay, but here's the thing. Okay, left or right? Honestly, I don't even know the history of left or right. I guess it has to do with the aisle or anything or something like that. Right? To my understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, left is if you're leaning towards social programs, socialism, communism. Correct me if I'm wrong. The right is no sé oye. All right, hold on. Let me put my headset on. Give me a second. Sorry, folks. Let me put my headset on. Give me a second. All right, is that better? Is that better? Testing 1 2. Testing 1 2. Is that better? Okay, I guess it's better. I'm gonna suppose that it's better.
Yeah, much better.
Much better. Okay, great. All right, so let me start all over. Left or right?
Izquierda o Derecha. This is going to be a bilingual discussion. I mean, I'm going to talk English until somebody jumps in and talks Spanish. Voy a hablar inglés hasta que alguien entre y hable español. Román, ¿cómo está? Buenas noches. Buenas noches. En la descripción tengo un enlace donde pueden entrar y podemos tener una conversación en vivo. In the description, I have a link both on Facebook and YouTube in case you want to have a live conversation. You want to, have a friendly debate. You want to have a discussion. You want to have a conversation. Click the link and I'll let you in. No matter what side of the aisle you're in. Okay, so en el enlace pueden hacer clic y entrar y tener una conversación en vivo, debate, discusión amigable, etc. So, left or right? So, to my understanding, left means that you're more towards social programs, socialism, communism. Correct me if I'm wrong. And the right is more capitalism, more freedom, things like that. I mean, I can't think of any other way of thinking about it. So people talk about the left or the right. I mean, I guess it all has to do with policies. So anyway, which one is better? Everybody has their own opinion. Everybody has their own way of seeing the world. Okay. Some people feel that everybody needs to be equal, that there's too much disparity between classes, between economic status. So they don't like capitalism and they like more socialism or communism. And some people feel that that everybody has the same opportunity to prosper in a country or an economy. So they feel more capitalism, more freedom, more free market. So which one has lasted or proven the test of time? Okay, so if you look at el que está entrando ahora, si quieren tener una conversación, pueden hacer clic en la descripción abajo. So anyway, if we look at the history of the test of time, basically there's a main common denominator here. Okay, so non-freedom of a country or whatever, it definitely brings no prosperity. Oppression, poverty, etc. That's what the test of time has shown. And freedom, okay, freedom brings prosperity. So equality, it looks nice on paper, it looks nice on theory. Everybody's equal, nobody's above nobody. It looks nice on paper, but in practice or reality, does it work? Whereas, so let's go back to equality. For that to work, there's different people that have different levels of ambition, right? So for equality to work, we would have to be robots, programmed robots. No free will, no nothing, no ambition. Everybody's the same. Because what happens is, those that have ambition, those that have innovative ideas, those that can invent things, right? So, prime example, let's say whoever invented the bicycle, let's make a simple example. Say that they invented the bicycle. Wow, a means of transportation where you don't have to ride a horse or anything like that. Invented a bicycle. Everybody wants a bike. Everybody wants a bicycle. So the person deserves a credit for inventing the bicycle, assembling the bicycle, and selling it to the market, to the people, to the public, or whatever, right? So because this person had the idea and they invented the bicycle, everybody wants a bicycle, right? So they exchange money for the bicycle. Everybody wants a bicycle. So this guy becomes a millionaire. So, but yet the people that bought the bicycles, they have a normal job and they have a 9 to 5, and they're not millionaires. They only earn whatever it is, $300-$400 a week, but they paid $200-$300 for the bicycle. Don't you think that the person that invented the bike and built the bike deserves to be a millionaire because he invented something that everybody wants? Why not? That's a free market. Now, in a socialist communist era, the state, in other words, the person that invented the bike, the state will be the owner of that bike and the rights of the bicycle. So the one who invented the bicycle, he's equal, right? He needs to stay equal. He can't sell the bicycle. Now, don't you think that a state would have to force the person not to sell the bike? They will have to implement laws against selling the bicycle or against selling anything that you invent. So don't you think that's a stripping of freedom? If you're on the left, I'm just posing the question. If you think the contrary, jump on in and click on the link and we'll have a discussion. So on a free market, on a free capitalistic market, the person who invented the bike can put whatever price they want, can sell as many bikes as they can build and assemble, and that's perfectly fine. So the person deserves to be a millionaire. Why not? If the person sold whatever, 100,000 bicycles, where he was able to assemble, hire some people to help him build bicycles, sold 100,000 bicycles for $300 each. What's that? That's $1 million, $30 million. The guy earns $30 million. Why not? What's wrong with that? Why are you going to tell the government, oh no, you got to regulate that guy? That's stripping of freedom. Let the market, dictate. So when I hear these left-wing politicians, and I don't care, I'm going to name names, Kamala Harris, right? When I hear her say, oh, I'm going to get rid of private, don't you think that she would have to implement a law that restricts private enterprise? Or how is she going to do it? By force? She's going to close all the private, clinics, all the private insurance companies, health insurance companies, by force? The main reason why the education and the medical industry has skyrocketed in cost is for the government getting in the way and subsidizing and giving all these grants and all that stuff. Initially, most people would see it as, oh, how generous. The government is helping me out and giving me a grant, and so on and so forth. How generous. Okay, but I'm getting free education or free medical attention. It's not free. Somebody's paying for it. I know I might be preaching to the choir here, but it's not free. Okay, it's the taxpayers. In the case of here in the United States of America, it's the taxpayers, right? You know, it's not the government that's giving it to you. The government does not produce anything. They don't produce no economy whatsoever. No prosper, no anything. Okay, the government's job should be like the preamble says. And I'm sorry for not memorizing the preamble. I should. I remember memorizing it in 5th grade. But they should only be in charge of domestic tranquility, promote for the general welfare, establish justice, protect our rights, secure our borders, right? Have secure borders, protect from invasion, etc. Not get in the way of free market and all that stuff. At the end of the day, you know, some people think that the government has our best interests, and you know they want to help us. All they want is most of our votes. I'm sorry, but most of the politicians, Democrats and Republicans, they just want our votes to make a career out of being a politician, like some people we know. Mr. Biden, maybe, right? 50 years as a politician. That I understand never opened up a business and contributed towards the economy. So what kind of business has Kamala Harris? Did she open or anything like that? Another career politician, or what was she? An AG, an attorney general, whatever. So people need to understand economics. Okay, so the left is talking about, oh, tax the rich. That's the reason why we have the national debt. We tax the rich and the problem will be solved. Do some math. 2 plus 2 equals 4. 2 plus 2 does not equal 4 million or 4 trillion. So how in the world is taxing the rich gonna solve the problem of funding all the social programs? No, let's not get into the details of funding the budget, the deficit, the federal deficit that we have. $1 trillion deficit every year? Folks, what does that mean? That means that the government is spending $1 trillion more than what is taken in tax revenue. $1 trillion a year, every fiscal year, like they call it. Okay, so what needs to be done is cutting the budget. Either both cutting the budget, and I don't know how, because of the Social Security and the baby boomers, and props to all the baby boomers. They're part of the reason why these United States have prospered, right? But so many baby boomers retiring on Medicare, Medicaid program. In other words, all the mandatories, they take up, if I'm not mistaken, something like 85% of, might be a little too much, maybe 60% of the federal budget, 70%. The rest is towards defense and other miscellaneous stuff, all the other social programs and this and that. Uh-oh. So imagine we would still need to cut the budget, the deficit, and one way or another increase production, right? Increase economy, increase GDP. So how the heck are you going to tax the rich? And hold on a second. They want to tax corporations. And when people say when they say corporations, people think about the huge corporations, you know, the GMs and the Googles and the big corporations, right? Shoot, I run a corporation and I'm a nobody. I'm a little guy. I'd be lucky if I fall into the low class, maybe middle class. So if they increase the taxes on the corporation and they say, oh no, tax the rich, they're taxing me. They're taxing the middle class, which makes up most of the population. So they're lying when they say, oh no, we're only going to tax the rich and not tax the poor or the middle class. Bull crap. They're taxing the middle class. And how many you know, low class have their little corporation. So they're going to get taxed if they tax the corporations. And then those that earn over $400,000 a year, who are they? The brain surgeons, the heart surgeons, maybe. Because most of the big corporations or whatever, you know, the profits are reinvested. So the CEO or the owner or whatever will not report 400,000, right? So the rich are not going to get taxed, even if they implement a higher tax. Most of them run on, because they know the tax system, and everybody has access to the same tax laws. Everybody can take advantage of the tax system. Anybody. So when they say, oh yeah, tax the rich and all that stuff, the rich reinvest most of their profits. If not, they do profit sharing, right? They take out loans, so they live on loans, and loans are not taxed. They're not taxable. They invest in whatever, in stock and whatever they invest in, and whatever gains they get out of that is capital gains. So if they increase the tax on the rich, that's not going to solve the problem. And you know, just a few days ago, a few weeks ago, it hasn't even been 2 weeks. Forgot the name of the individual, but he's a congressperson. He did a whole presentation, like for an hour, 40 minutes, 45 minutes, or whatever it was, with charts that are filed in the congressional record that we can look up ourselves and we can fact check it. He said that the Trump cuts, and he actually showed the charts, that the tax cuts actually increased the tax revenue. And statistically, tax cuts, 67% of tax cuts goes towards wages, towards the workers. So to increase a tax on corporations and increase a tax on the rich, we're shooting ourselves on the foot, because that's going to mean decreased wages, more layoffs, less GDP, less production. So it's actually going to decrease the tax revenue. No, cut the taxes on the corporations, let them reinvest in the business, let them grow the business, let them hire more employees, and the tax will go up. If I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, again, if you're just joining, click on the link on the description, whether you're on Facebook or YouTube, and I'll let you in, and let's have a discussion. All right, a live discussion here. Don't be shy. Jump on in. So you tax the rich, you tax the corporations. It'll diminish GDP and production, gross domestic product, right? You cut taxes, companies grow, more employees, more tax revenue. That's gonna solve the debt crisis that we're in. And I'm sorry if I'm jumping all over the place, but the Biden administration is claiming that they've increased, I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of jobs. But out of those hundreds of thousands of jobs, a lot of those jobs were government jobs. So he's not talking about the free market. He's not talking about the jobs of the market. So he's fudging the numbers. Unemployment is going up on his watch, and the reason why, employment went down on his watch, the reason why unemployment went down on his watch, it's because of Trump's tax cuts. So he piggybacked on that. Remember, the tax cuts are still in effect. So that's what prospered the economy. And then Biden is trying to take credit for that. So left or right? Any comments? Any comments on what we're talking about here? Left or right? Which one's better? I don't know. I mean, I believe that things that we don't have control over, such as medical care. Okay, in that sense, I might go a little bit towards the left. I'll be very honest. I believe that education obviously is a requirement, right? So since it's a requirement, the government should provide free education. However, everybody should have the option of private education, right? Of sending their kids to private school, or have the option of, homeschooling. Now, medical care, everybody at one point or another needs medical care. It's a necessity. It's a matter of life and death. So yes, the government, I believe, should provide some type a good medical, good medical program, right? Funded by taxes. And correct me if I'm wrong, I still believe in the free market. So any doctor that becomes a medical doctor should have the option of opening up their own clinic, having a private clinic, etc. But other than that, I mean, Social Security was implemented, I think, in the early 20th century, early 1900s. I believe it was by a Democrat. I think it was Eisenhower, or I forgot who it was. But if we were to if we had the discipline to take that money that we're all paying towards Social Security and pay it into a mutual fund, I don't know, buy precious metals and invest the money yourselves, invest it into your own company, your own corporation. you have control over your own corporation's earnings. Shoot, you can invest it into a whole life insurance, a universal life insurance. You could invest it into an annuity, right? You'll be way better off than the social security check that you receive. Way better off by far. Question is, will everybody have the discipline to do it? But here's the thing. Had it not been for Social Security, inflation wouldn't have happened, so people will be able to live on less money. So what has Social Security done for us? Who can live on Social Security alone? At the end of the day, okay, it should be a supplement. But again, if you take that money that we have invested our whole lives into Social Security and put it into our own IRA, it would build a lot more capital, a lot more money for your later years. So Social Security, I'm sorry to say, has been a debacle, if you want to call it, a failure. It has been a complete failure because nobody nowadays can live on Social Security alone, even if you paid off your house, paid off your car, can't live on Social Security alone. Think about it. Your property taxes keep going up. The cost of living keeps going up. And it's the inflation. Remember, inflation is the increase of the money supply. That is what the definition of inflation is, because the more money the central bank prints without having assets to back it up or without having economy to back it up, creates inflation, more money into the system, so everything starts getting more. It's not that everything is costing more, it's just taking more money to buy the same things. Like, for example, I just saw, I don't know if it was like one of these commercials on Rumble or on YouTube or whatnot. They said that back in the early 1900s, I believe it was, that $3,200 was able to buy you a home, a house. And $3,200 was able to buy you 155 ounces of gold. Just $3,200. What's the price of gold today? 24, going on 2,500. Okay, just 1 ounce. Back then, you were able to buy 155 ounces of gold. Nowadays, with $3,200, you'd be lucky if you get a decently working car, let alone a house. Not even for a down payment of a house. So $3,200 won't buy you a car, but 155 ounces of gold can still buy you a house, which amounts to about $230,000. If somebody can fact check me on that, I know that word, right? Fact check. I'm being sarcastic, right? So 155 ounces of gold can buy you a house. Maybe not in Miami, maybe not in LA, maybe not in, I don't know, Washington, D.C., San Francisco, maybe not in those places, but, in the suburbs, in the rural areas, you can buy a nice house for $230,000, equivalent to 155 ounces of gold. So my point is that the value of gold, the intrinsic value of gold has not increased. The intrinsic value of food has not increased. It's the amount of currency, of fiat currency, that it takes to buy the gold, or that it takes to buy a commodity like food or gas or whatever, that has increased. So how do you solve that problem? Anybody? How do you solve that problem? Government deficit, cut the government deficit and increase the country's production, increase the gross domestic product, the innovation, innovation, invention, motivation. So going back to a socialist communist system, what motivation does an inventor have in inventing something if whatever they invent is the state is gonna take ownership of it? What motivation is a business minded person, a motivated person, is gonna have in a socialist communist system of putting up a business? Number one, they won't let them. It'll be against the law. So what motivation will they have? So what motivation would a current company have of innovation, of inventing new things, of an engineer inventing new things? Yeah, the leftists would say, oh yeah, you have to take it for the team, right? You have to be a team player. You have to do it for the common good. You have to do it for society, socialism, society, right? You have to do it for society, for the good of society. We're human beings. I'm sorry, no matter how what's the word? No matter how uh, what's the word for non-selfish? No matter how non-selfish you are, okay, in a way, we all have our selfish side. We all want to look after for ourselves and our family, and so on and so forth. So in practice, socialism, communism does not work. So all these policies, social policies, yeah, free education, um, uh, debt forgiveness, educational debt forgiveness, free medical health care for everybody, do away with the private institutions, and so on and so forth. Um, that's not gonna that's just gonna bring down the prosperity of a country, because no motivation, no motivation to put up a business or anything like that. So with that said, I guess you all were too shy to click on the link and have a discussion and maybe put your 2 cents. So did I miss anything? Put it in the comments, in the comment section. Did I miss anything? Anything you want me to touch on? You want to jump on in? Let me know. So I guess I'll keep rambling. ¿Alguno de ustedes que hablen español, que quieran poner algo en un comentario o quieran entrar a tener una conversación? No sé si me entendieron. ¿Alguno de ustedes quieran que yo toque algún tema en relación a izquierda o derecha? Any subject that any one of you want me to touch upon, left or right? Anyway, so regarding our candidates, for all of you that are that are brainwashed on both sides, because I've seen both sides of the aisle put out narratives and lies and all that stuff. More on the left side, though, more on the Democratic Party side. I don't know what has happened. I mean, I've heard uh, some old time Democrats saying that they are disappointed in their party. The same Democrats of the Democrats of today are not the same Democrats of 40, 50, 60 years. It used to be that Republicans and Democrats were very close to the middle, you know, very close to the middle. So it was just like a little jump, you know, there was a fine line between them. Now it's so far extreme on both sides that there's such a gap. Either that or the Democrats have gone way past the left side, and these old time veteran Democrats are very disappointed in the party. In a sense, Republicans have always been Republicans. If you look at the history of what a Republican is, all you have to do is just read the Constitution. The Constitution says that we are a republic. So the Republican Party was the first party. Okay, so I guess the Democrats, there's a slight difference. I still can't explain the difference between the two. In other words, in a republic, okay, everybody is free to think what they want, to do what they want, or whatever, as long as they don't hurt the other person. Um, a democracy is that everybody has to follow what the grand majority votes on, 51%. So if 51% agree on a policy, the other 49% have to, um, they got no choice but to follow those policies, or, you know, or live under those policies. Whereas in a republic, that is not the case. You know, it's more individual sovereignty. So if you're a true Republican, if you're a true Republican, you know what you go under the values of a republic. In other words, go back to the Constitution. Nowhere in the Constitution does it mention anything about a democracy or Democrats. That party came later. So a true Republican is somebody that believes in a republic, right? Conservative, that's something else. Conservative values, Christian, you know, this and that. In a sense, you're you know, even a conservative who's judging on all these things about homosexualism. So I totally corrupted that word. Sorry about that. Homosexualism and so on and so forth. They're judgmental on that. So I don't believe in imposing laws or banning, you know, for example, homosexualism. Now, I don't believe in openly imposing or teaching our kids, you know, that, you know, sexual preference and all that stuff. Let them be free and do that when they grow up. So for the government to butt in to those type of policies and impose or write laws to protect, wokeism and all that stuff, and ban and prosecuting people that openly talk against it, that's a violation of the First Amendment. So either way, it's a violation of the First Amendment, right? So I'm not too much in favor of conservatives imposing their beliefs on others, right? That's fine. But the government shouldn't butt into those type of situations, in my opinion. So the fact that the Olympics and the fact that a lot of these corporations are so far to the left and actually like rubbing in all this, transsexualism and all that stuff, that only shows, I mean, the evidence is there that um, they're either lobbied or subsidized or funded by those that want to dismantle this country. Because call me a conspiracy theorist or call me whatever, it's a fact that there are people, groups of people, whatever it is, that want to dismantle this country and what it stands for, which stands for freedom. Because we're the last beacon of hope, of light, and to the whole world. Because if this country goes down, that's it. The whole world is done. The whole world is done. So anyway, nobody had the courage to jump in. I'll wait just a little bit since I know there's a little lag. Or did anybody try to come in and maybe I didn't catch it? No, I would have received an alert. So yeah, okay. So I went off on a tremendous tangent out here. I actually wanted to say that we can't be brainwashed by the mainstream media on either side. We need to do our own research, our own due diligence. So many lies being told about Donald Trump, right? Whereas there's so many facts about Kamala Harris, where you hear it straight from the horse's mouth. The things that she says, the flip flopping. Speaking of flip flopping, how about that flip flop on taxes? Trump has been talking about no taxes on tip earners, and Kamala said, comes out saying no taxes on tip owners. And the crowd goes wild. Her little crowd, in comparison, right? Is she that desperate that she's flip flopping and copying Donald Trump's policies to be able to gain more votes?
What are you talking about? Didn't she pass that bill? She passed it for tips to get.
That's what I'm saying. She passed the bill. The Inflation Reduction Act is all part of, it's in there, right, to continue taxing tip owners. So she was the last, the tiebreaker per se to sign that bill in, right?
Yep.
And with sarcasm or her freaking cynicism, you saw her there. Well, it's 50-50, but The vice president, being the tiebreaker, is signing and shit. Oh my goodness. Anyway, so because of her, earners are being taxed in this new act, the Inflation Reduction Act, which is the very inflation that they caused, that they were part of the problem. Mind you, okay, in all fairness, this problem has been caused by both Republicans and Democrats. The national debt. But anyway, how about all that flip-flopping going on? Anyway, and I never finished. I never finished about the congressional meeting that the Economist. Oh yeah, I did talk about it. That he showed charts and so on and so forth about the taxes. So I recommend that. I forgot his name, but I recommend that you all look for that that congressional meeting. He gets all emotional about it and frustrated. You can tell that he's frustrated trying to explain economics to those that don't understand. And he says that Republicans and Democrats alike, they're both as guilty of taking that national debt to 35 trillion. So how you figure we're ever gonna pay that back if the whole GDP is barely 3 trillion a year? How is taxing the rich gonna ever pay that back? That whole Inflation Reduction Act is gonna reduce the deficit by $58 billion in 10 years. So how, what's that gonna do? That's not even gonna create a dent in the national debt. What we need to do is reduce it by $1 trillion a year ASAP. So I'm gonna say again, anybody want to jump in? The link is in the description. If you want to jump in, let me know. Actually, not let me know. Just click on the link, and I'll just let you in. So watch that video. Look for that video and watch it. So anyways, man, my opinion, and this is the opinion of most of you, that Kamala Harris is so freaking fake. Oh my goodness. After all the policies that she's, that she has supported, she destroyed San Francisco with her policies and stuff. So I don't know why people don't see that. And for those Cubans out there that are voting for this person, I can understand that you being a Democrat, but going so freaking extreme to the left, like that lady, like Kamala, you're basically voting for Fidel Castro. Basically voting for Fidel. I don't understand it. Yeah, I'm calling you all out. Shoot, at least vote for RFK, for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Vote for RFK Jr. He's been a lifetime Democrat, but he's so disappointed in the Democratic Party that even though he knows, or he knows that he has a slim chance of winning, he's running as an independent because he's disgusted with both parties. And that's one thing you gotta see as well. You gotta see. Shoot, Trump was gonna run as an independent if you all remember that, but he figured, with his age, and figuring, how downhill our country is going, and he loves this country. I don't care what you all say. He loves this country because at 78 years old, he could have been doing way better things than to have to take all the heat from the swamp and from all these people attacking him. He could have been in a better place. you know, but yet he's fighting for his country because he knows that this country is going downhill. You know, so whoever says otherwise, I don't know what they're living in. Yeah, he's not perfect. Okay. Yeah, he hasn't done the best things, you know, throughout his life or whatever. But shoot, you know what matters is the negotiating power, the policies. You know, that's what matters. The policies that are gonna better this country. That's what counts. You know, not the wokeism, not the um, so sorry about that. So not the wokeism, not the abortion rights or anything like that. And for all of you that are saying that, oh, you know, Trump is anti-abortion and so on and so forth, he may be, but he doesn't believe in imposing or you know the law on the women. You know, and especially, but what he's opposed of is a late term abortion. That's what he's opposed it. You know. So anyway, with that said, I would have wished if any of you would have jumped on in. With that said, I'm gonna wrap up this live. And the next time, please jump. Don't be shy. Jump on in. You know, especially if you're left leaning or a Democrat. You know, I would love to. I would love to have a discussion, a conversation, and even a debate with you. Okay, so I'm calling you all out. Next time, jump on in, and we'll have a debate and a discussion. As long as we keep it classy, as long as we don't lose our minds, we could do it. So with that said, have yourselves a good evening, and talk to you all soon. Take care.